It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Let's see what's in the news. Oh, the Grammys last night. Apparently, Annie Lennox won for her song Ceasefire. Okay, maybe I got that wrong. Oh, no, she shouted Ceasefire.
Oh.
Taylor Swift won everything.
Did
That's
she
about
shout it from the audience or on stage?
Nah, she was on stage.
She's in the balcony.
CBS producers allowed Annie Lennox to shout "Ceasefire" from the stage during the live broadcast.
Yeah. Well, to be clear, was anyone at the Grammys firing guns? I mean, I just assume that it's about Israel, and it's an anti-Israel position.
It's a pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist position.
Yeah, but I shouldn't assume that.
The new revolutionary songs are now pro-fascist, pro-terrorist. Those would be the new revolutionary songs coming out of
exactly
mainstream music, apparently. That's
right. Yeah. Exactly.
So there you go.
Yeah.
I heard that Joni Mitchell had a performance there.
Okay.
She was there.
All right.
So
I saw the thing about Tracy Chapman because somebody redid her song and then she performed it with that artist. But this is I'm just seeing these things on social media. So, all right.
Snore.
Yeah. Exactly.
So there you go. So the Grammys are done. No sports over the weekend. Really?
No.
Not much going on because there's no football. And then after next week, there is no sports. I did see somebody post on social media, what? The NFL Pro Bowl is now flag football?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't care. The NHL held their All-Star game, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the woman who sang the national anthem was dressed in, again, pro-Palestinian attire.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is, again,
the radicals aren't going to change.
Which is, again, pro-Hamas. And I just wonder how that – I wonder how, how does that go along with the NHL and their Pride Days?
Well,
because if you're pro-Hamas, you can't be pro-gay rights.
Right, you can't be.
No.
And if you have any questions, you can ask Hamas about that.
Yes. You don't need to ask us. They will tell you exactly how they feel.
We're not the ones who set the rules on that situation.
No. Just amazing.
Yeah.
Just shake your head.
Radicals.
So the border bill has come out, and Republicans have said, nope. We've gone through the points that Republicans have questioned and said, no, that's a no deal. You're probably going to hear the Democrats talk about all the great things that this would do, except the problem is we already have border laws that they are not enforcing. And what we see, there's too many outs in this. Preliminary looking at it, we haven't been able to read all 370 pages, but people that we trust have put forth the important parts that Republicans have rejected immediately, which would basically be once the emergency happens, the HHS secretary has full discretion to do whatever basically he or she wants. It would be he because that would be Mayorkas, who, again, has pathologically lied to the American public as to what's going on. And there's only a certain number of days that you can actually call the emergency, the president, if there's an emergency, and the emergency will be triggered by the average of 5,000 over a 7-day period, average of 5,000 per day, or if in one day it goes above 8,500 encounters. Nobody has defined encounters, but that means people crossing the border, which again is a no-go.
Right.
Which again is exactly what they said wasn't in it but it is in it. And they're simply saying, well, the 5,000 is in it, but that doesn't mean that 5,000 come across. Well, then what does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
If you have 5,000 encounters and you close down the border so nobody can get across, I mean, what does that? What just do that without the 5,000?
And why would that be a threshold if it means, well, it doesn't mean they're going to come across? Then what does it mean?
What does it mean? Right.
And why do you need a threshold in terms of anything that is actionable in this bill, enforceable? Then why do you need a threshold of 5,000? What does it mean? If it doesn't, the whole point of it is people coming across.
Because if you want to pin Republicans to the wall, what you would say is that 5,000 was completely false. It's zero.
Right.
It's zero, and then we want all these things, including quicker decisions on amnesty, and more money to the. You see the amount of money, hundreds of millions, possibly billions, going to the NGOs who support, the migrants that are currently in the country.
Right.
And so, what happens to the migrants that are currently in the country? What happens to the millions that are in now that don't have a appointment for 8 years? Do they get accelerated back up? And within a 6-month period? Because when you read a lot of the stuff, you go, okay, that's moving in the right direction. That's moving. Well, what's the enforcement for all of this? And you see that the enforcement mechanism is still left up to the president.
Right.
If he wishes to call an emergency, now over 5,000, they must call an emergency, but the president can call his own emergency to override the emergency,
right,
which he's already done.
Done that.
And they created the emergency this time based on them opening the border.
Yeah.
So, no. Sorry. Well, Gary, we have to start somewhere. Yep, and this isn't the where.
Yeah, this isn't. We start at zero.
Yeah, start at zero.
Well, no, I mean, because for that kind of mentality, and it's way too prevalent these days. Well, we have to do something. Yeah, enforce the law that's on the books. We don't need new legislation for anything. If you want to fund Israel, if you want to fund Ukraine, separate bills, clean, separate bills.
Now, I think the Democrats thought that they probably could use this against the Republicans as a sledgehammer. I don't see how.
No, I don't think. It flies in the face. And here's the problem. It does that because of the fact that this massive, massive, massive problem right now, this border crisis, is affecting the liberals who write the stories in major cities like New York. They're seeing it firsthand in their cities. It's a local problem for the liberal media journalists, so-called.
Because we saw the direction. We saw Langford justifying it. We read what he said earlier.
Yeah.
But this does this does this. It's like, yeah, but you're not addressing the 5,000.
Right.
Those might be good things that people might consider, and you might be able to put some leverage on Republicans if you said, we're closing the border, and now these are the things that we wish to do. There might be more willingness for some Republicans to compromise on what you do at that point if they can guarantee that the border remains closed. And if you wish to have more visas, if you wish to do things in some different way, that might be fine, or Republicans might be forced to agree with you and compromise. But if you don't say the border is closed and nobody gets across illegally, you're not going to get it from the Republicans, and you're not going to get the support from the American people.
Well, and to Langford or anybody who would try and make that point, it's like saying, look at the tread on your tire. It's great. It's perfect. Yeah, but you're ignoring the hole in the tire, which made the tire flat.
Yeah.
But it's only a small part of it. It's the most important part of it.
It's a big tire, and it's a very small, a very small diameter hole.
The tread looks great. You're ignoring that part. Langford's saying that people are ignoring that part while he's ignoring the biggest part of it is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Langford needs to be voted out of office. This needs to be done. Get out. Run as a Democrat. Good luck with that in Oklahoma. Move to California and run as a Democrat. I mean, because you cannot make that case. And for him to go, that's the gaslighting we get from this administration. That's the gaslighting we get from people on the left.
Now here's where he goes. The Border Emergency Authority has been the most misunderstood, or maybe just this from Langford, misrepresented parts of the bill. Some people have said it would mean 5,000 people a day are coming into the country every day. That's absurd and untrue. Listen to how he explains this. The Emergency Authority is not designed to let 5,000 people in. It is designed to close the border and turn 5,000 people around. Then you don't need the 5,000 number.
You can do that with all of them. Zero. You turn
do it with
everybody
zero.
around.
So you're saying 4,000 then can come in.
Right.
It doesn't reach 5,000.
4,999 can come in. 5,000 at 5,000 we turn. Well, but it's a running 7 days average. And that's another big problem with this.
But it doesn't need to be 5,000.
No.
Close the border, and then you can try to sell the American public and blunt the Republicans with everything else that you put in.
One rule applies to all.
It doesn't make sense at all where he says that. The Emergency Authority is not to let 5,000 people in. It's designed to close the border and turn those 5,000 people around.
No, it's not.
But you can't do it at 4,000? You can't do it at 3,000?
Right.
You can't do it at 2,000?
Why 5,000?
Right.
Why that number? Are you saying it's an arbitrary number? No, he's lying. Or he himself doesn't understand the way the bill's written. It's not designed to turn them around. If it hits 5,000, it's like you said, okay, then 4,999. That's my new number, Mr. Langford. Just amazing.
Yeah, it's like, why the 5,000?
It just gets worse.
I know.
Well, it's exactly what leadership in the House said. This is worse than we thought it was. And maybe that's because they're not extending welfare for non-citizens, as you pointed out during a break earlier.
I'm reading the comments. Oh, my gosh. I'm reading the comments to Langford.
Yeah.
They aren't pleasant.
I'm guessing they're not.
Matt Gates is actually one of the first ones. Comment. He goes, just take the L. The loss is what it means.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Just take the loss.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want,
and we haven't even got to the the money for Ukraine.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Nope. No more of this. No more of this garbage on this bill. 3 bills: border bill, Ukraine bill, Israel funding bill. All separate and all very different from what they say now. You don't need the 5,000. No, we're turning them back. We're not going to let them in. You're turning them back if it reaches 5,000. And as you point out, okay, less than 5,000. 4,500? Where's your threshold? I'll tell you what mine is. It's 0.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Regarding snowpack accumulations, several mountain ranges of the West have benefited from atmospheric rivers this winter. USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey says water equivalency in those areas range anywhere from 100 to 140% of average. However,
we have some concerns, especially in the north. El Nino-driven dryness across the northern Rockies and adjacent areas has led to subpar snowpacks that are most acute across western Montana.
Which means concerns for east-facing rivers such as the Missouri that depend on eastern Rockies snow runoff for water.
There's also an area stretching from the Sierra Nevada into parts of the southwest, namely Arizona, where we've had either a lack of storminess, unusual warmth, or a combination of both, limiting snowpack accumulations.
As well as below normal snowpack so far for the Sierra Nevada, which provides much of California's irrigation and municipal water. I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Carly, and I'm Gary McNamara. I'm reading this here about drivers see a return of the 0% car loan with longer terms in Q4. The share of new vehicle sales with zero APR financing ticked up to 2.3% of sales during the fourth quarter from 1.1% in the previous quarter. The increase also came at the average term length of 54.3 months, up 9.5 months from the third quarter and the highest term length since 2021, when 7.1% of loans featured 0% APR at an average term length of 56.8 months. On the surface, car financing appears to be following the harsh trend line of the past few years, with average monthly payments and down payments reaching all-time highs for new vehicles. But there are some very encouraging signs as we kick off 2024 when considering the makeup of deals in the latter half of Q4. Incentives are slowly coming back as inventory improves. Most consumers are looking for low APRs with longer loan terms. Wow. So the growth in those loans is helping to lure customers who have been sitting out due to adverse financing and pricing conditions. What's it going to be? I mean, how far are loans going to go out? I mean, to do an average is one thing, you know, because we've heard of the 70-month loans, the 80-month loans.
Oh, 72, 80, which would the next would be 84. Yeah. I think they're doing 84. But the problem with that is, you know, you're going to be underwater. The buyer is going to be underwater. And if they don't keep that car until it's paid off, then wherever they decide to trade that in, that negative equity, the balance of what they go on that, on that is going to go, to the next loan. That's the problem, is that you have that over and over and over again until the point that, well, you can't afford anything.
Almost 1 in 5 are now paying $1,000 a month for the vehicle.
Wow.
Closing at 17.9% in the fourth quarter, an increase from 17.5% in the previous quarter. And that's where the direction's going. It's not going the opposite way.
No, not at all. Well, I mean, the number one question there when you step onto a car lot, hey, where do you need your payments at? Hey, where do you want your payments? They don't like people who are cash buyers. A lot of us older folks are cash buyers. They don't like that at all. And this is why. There's a lot of money to be made in the financing part of it.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today and listen when and where you want. You know, I know that they didn't hold, I don't believe, any type of daily press briefing on Friday. I just wonder if anybody will ask Karine Jean-Pierre, whenever they get back together again, and say, by the way, Biden keeps saying that his son Beau, you know, implying or saying his son died in Iraq.
Right.
In a war. That didn't happen. Does the president know how his son died, and should this make us worry about his cognitive abilities?
Well, look, it's not stopping. He keeps saying the same thing, and as you mentioned, either implying or has said outright that he died in Iraq. And fact of the matter is that when you're saying that to especially new Gold Star families, and they know it's not true, it's one thing to be relatable. It's another to want to make it about yourself. And that's a fine line in a situation like that. It would be very okay to say, I'm very sorry for your loss as a parent who has outlived one of his children. I know there is great pain, and we will keep you in our thoughts and prayers during this time of grief. It's okay to say that. But if you're lying about the nature of how or implying that the nature of how your child died is different, then you're trying to make it about you. That's not trying to be relatable. And that's pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
And it's not going to stop. But I just wonder when the press is finally going to say, look, he continues on this over and over again. But after he canceled the Super Bowl interview, I just went, there's no way he's ever doing a debate with Trump.
There's just no way. And it's interesting because he's still doing the campaigning. He's still out there going against the advice of Van Jones at CNN. But he's still out there. But you don't do a one-on-one interview. I mean, I can see them doing a very special one-on-one with Dr. Jill Biden.
Well,
but not Joe. And those are it's an election year. They were able to, under the cloud of COVID, they were able to hide him in the basement in 2020. And now, while they're not really hiding him in the basement, it's about as close as they can get. We got to get him out there. Keep him active. Show that he's out there, but don't really let him too close. And if he does get too close to the media, make sure he's standing right next to a very loud helicopter.
He said the other day, it's bizarre. he said the other day, I think it was in Vegas, he said that debt cancellation is free.
Right.
That the debt can't nobody,
right. Write it off.
That's
he took the Kramer approach.
Exactly. The Seinfeld episode again, that we've created 15 million new jobs, and that he isn't for abortion on demand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So somebody has to ask him, then what are you for?
Then what?
And he blurted out, Roe v. Wade said 3 trimesters. So you believe then after 3 trimesters it should be against the law? The left's going to ask him these, because he says these things, and the left is going to question him on that one.
Right.
Wait a minute. You think abortion should be illegal after the 3rd trimester? He backed himself into a corner there. You just never know what he's going to say or when he's going to wander off from the teleprompter, or it's that his staff is just as clueless.
Well, the third trimester is the full is up to birth.
Second trimester. I
Yeah,
think,
okay.
is what he meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I hadn't done my math.
Third trimester is full term. But those are the things that
Right.
you look at,
Thank you.
and
That's why it's try.
but the reason I say that,
Thank you.
the reason I say that is because you have people on the left that are okay with abortion up until birth.
I think the majority of
I mean, the reason I didn't flinch,
Well-
when you said that, is that you have people on the left that are okay with abortion up until birth. And so if he's out there saying, "No, I'm all right," or if he made a gaffe on something like that, it wouldn't be shocking at all. But here's the thing, you point out, if he's drawing the line at the second trimester, then those people on the far left aren't going to be with him. So you're saying abortion is wrong,
Right.
and at some point, it's not her choice. It's not about her body.
you notice that 99% of Democrats will not answer that question.
Right, they won't.
And we have said that's where the victory for the pro-life movement is the fact that the majority of Americans, even the majority of women when polled, do not believe in abortion on demand till birth.
Right.
They don't. And I know because I've had the conversations. And it's interesting how the women that I have had a discussion with since the Dodd's decision way back in 2022 when I first started having discuss, and every single woman who has asked me about it, because it was interesting because I was up in Buffalo a couple of times, then even down here. Well, it's a terrible decision. I go, why?
Yeah, why?
And I said, what did they do? And she said, well, they reversed Roe v. Wade, so abortion is illegal. I go, not necessarily. No. I go, what they actually did was, do you know what I said, oh, I set them up. Do you believe what they did was fascist? Yes, because they took away that right. I go, well, what did they say? Did you actually look at the decision? Go, what they said was, it's up to the United States, the constitutional republic, to decide through their elected representatives when life begins.
Right.
We don't get to make that decision.
Right.
The last Supreme Court that made that decision, they erred. They don't get to decide when life begins. You do through your elected representatives. So what you've been being told by the Democrats is the complete reverse.
Yeah.
If
Right,
you're looking, if you're going to use the F word, fascist, you use that towards the Supreme Court that passed Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
Not
right.
the ones that said, no, that's bad law.
Right.
The people of the United States get to do that. But the other thing that I said is an advancement, and I don't think a lot of pro-lifers haven't even realized it, is that because it's like, well, we're losing so much. You may lose in some states, yes, but you're winning the long-term argument. And that is a majority of people don't want it. They believe, and every woman I talked to that said they were furious about the decision believed that they said, it's about our body. We can do whatever we want with our body. And I said, well, then fine, you're for abortion till demand or on demand till birth. Well, no. Well, what do you mean? And it was different. 15 weeks, 20 weeks, second trimester, whatever. I mean, they were throwing out different. I said, so after that, it should be illegal. Yes. I go, well, then it's not about your body.
Right.
It's about when you believe a human being is created.
Right.
And so at that point, since a majority of people aren't for abortion till birth, that's where you have to work at.
The question has been from the beginning, where do you believe life begins? That's it.
Yeah. And they don't want to touch that question.
No,
And you notice they
no.
will not. All right, fine. You don't believe it till when? And then they'll change every single one of them. Well, very few. You may have some radical, on the far left say abortion till birth.
Mm-hmm.
Most Democrats don't want. 99% of Democrats in Congress don't want to touch that.
Right.
And there's a reason.
Yep.
So finally, shrinkflation.
Oh boy.
There it was, Wall Street Journal. Shrinkflation is in the air, online and everywhere else. And it said, in case you missed the White House memo, the U.S. economy is fantastic. It's never been better. Stock prices and jobs are booming. Inflation and mortgage rates are falling. Happy days are here again. Yet many Americans remain unhappy. What gives? Inflation. Yeah. And she goes, and the government measures of inflation don't fully reflect rising prices. Sure, headline inflation is getting closer to the Fed's 2% target, but those statistics can be deceiving. Of course they can. Shrinkflation, paying the same price for noticeably smaller quantities of the same thing, isn't appearing only in the grocery aisle. It's everywhere. Americans may be paying around the same prices they did a year ago, but they are often getting less for it. They go, take airline fares. Because I always talk about this when they go, airline fares are down. I go, no, they're not. I fly all the time. Take airline fares, which the Labor Department Consumer Price Index shows fell 9.4% during 2023. That sounds nice, right? Until you consider the calculation weighs the lowest available fare for a trip, typically offered by budget airlines, which require customers to pay more to bring a carry-on and select a seat in basic economy. Flyers also get less legroom and charges for beverages or snacks. Budget airlines have been slashing their fares to attract more customer, though legacy carriers have also been increasingly unbundling their prices to compete. That's why you'll have to pay $50 extra if you don't want to be assigned to seat 32B, plus $30 more for a carry-on. Some Americans may like differentiated prices, but most don't like paying more for the same services they're used to getting as part of a ticket cost, which is so true.
Yep. Yeah.
And they talk about, because I've noticed that because I get, because I've flown so much, whatever seat I want, I really get outside of first class.
Right.
But I can still get upgraded for that, but I get it for free because I've flown so many miles. If I didn't, I'd have to pay for it. And then the basic economy one, which is they assign you to the seat and everything else. And then you have to pay extra for everything else.
Right.
And so it's like they're giving you that lowest level seat. But I would say that in the last year for me, I'm going to guess probably about 12, 13% my airline costs have gone up. So when they say 9.4%, I go, not mine.
Right.
It's like my airline for years have said, they even did it again. Look at the sale prices to Buffalo. Say there's never been a sale price to Buffalo ever, ever from American Airlines.
Wow.
And they've been telling me that for 25 years.
Yeah.
Look for the sale prices. We got great deals. I go, no, you don't.
Right.
I fly all the time, which means what do I do every day? I check airline prices almost every single day.
Right.
Because I fly.
You want to make sure you can book the best deal.
15 times a year I'm flying, so that means when I make another flight, I got the flight for a couple of weeks from now, and I'm making the flight to see Dad on his birthday in early April, and then I'm looking for other flights down. So I'm constantly checking, so I know.
Right.
Most people don't do that, though. Most people don't fly that much.
By the way, I saw something over the weekend, I believe it was Wall Street Journal, that had the story about people who get the credit cards that aren't tied directly to your. I have a credit card that's tied directly to American, but like a Capital One card and other cards that have these and you can book any airline, they say that if you're doing that through the benefit of your card carrier and you're booking through with those points, you often are overpaying as opposed to booking direct.
Oh, okay.
What they will charge you overall for the flight is higher, which means you have to use more points to do it. So that was an interesting story over the weekend.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I'm really looking forward to how the Democrats try to justify this border bill, especially the Republicans in the Senate, like Langford, because Langford said the 5,000 was being misinterpreted initially, and then came out yesterday and said, no, the 5,000 at the border encounters mean we can turn 5,000 people back, not that we allow 5,000 in.
Right.
Well, then why do you have
That's
the 5,000?
garbage.
Then why do you have the 5,000 in there to begin with?
Right.
Why is there this random number that was in there a week ago that's still in there today? What does that mean?
Right.
Why is that in there? Why isn't it 0? He can't answer that question.
He can't answer that question.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.